Hello and welcome back to another video. Today here again on Forza Horizon 4. 5. I've done that twice now. Today here on Forza Horizon 5 to take a look at another new car that's in this game that has returned from Forza Motorsport 4 actually. It needs no introduction, the DeLorean DMC-12 from 1982. Produced for 2 years, 1981 and 1982. And obviously famous from Back to the Future. That's why everybody knows about it. But yeah, it was a bit of a disaster, the actual car, and it turned out not being very good. So we'll get into that in a minute. We'll take a quick look at the car and then head on out, and, well, I'll show you quite how slow it is. But yeah, we've all seen what these look like. They all, well, are like this in the stainless steel, so let's head on out, and we'll go over a few more details. So, yes. So, it went through a number of changes in design and troubles that, well, eventually ended up in the company not surviving more than 2 years, which is probably why they didn't build them for very long. So the original plan was to actually put a rotary engine in this, which I'm going to check if that's a swap we can do, because that would be brilliant, even though it's a 4-rotor or something. But that was soon taken out of the plans, and they thought a Ford V6 would work, because John DeLorean, the guy who set it up, used to have quite a high up position at Ford, so obviously the idea was to get one of their engines in it, which eventually was abandoned for an inline 4 Citroen engine, producing only 130 horsepower, which is why it's quite so slow. It came with a 5-speed manual or 3-speed auto. Luckily we've got the 5-speed manual in the one in the game, which makes sense. But yeah, very underpowered for its looks. It really wasn't a performance car. It was a bit of a show-off with its brushed aluminium and gull-wing doors, but it was a bit crap, basically. And it was famous for the film. Everyone loves it, but yeah, it wasn't very good. If I just stop for a minute, look. This is its acceleration. Are you ready? 30, 40, 50, and there's 60. It does do it, eventually. So yeah, not really very good. Very cool. I mean, look at it, and look at the interior. It's just it's the most 80s car in the world, isn't it? I mean, look at it. But yeah, it's a shame it was a bit rubbish. Didn't really sell very well. So basically, they're all exported to America. They were built in Ireland, so it's technically a great British car. But anyway, a lot of games seem to suggest it's American. I wonder what Forza says it is. If you say it's American, I'm going to be very upset. Right, okay. I mean, the guy was American, but the company would... Anyway, they're all sold, mostly sold to America, which is why they're quite rare with the steering wheel on the correct side. But anyway. Yeah, so they didn't sell particularly well. And what was their solution? But you probably already know this. Their solution was to try and sell gold-plated versions for a lot more money, which are obviously heavier and slower. So worse in most ways, and very expensive. Anyway. I think there is now actually a company in America that puts V6s in it, which is essentially the engine it was supposed to have, and makes it a bit better. So yeah, looks cool, famous from movies, not actually very good. But it's quite terrible stock, so I'm not going to race it or anything. So let's go and fix that. So straight into the upgrades. I usually do painting first, but we'll go straight into engines because I want to see. I can put in a V10. A V8, or it is a missed opportunity not putting in a rotary engine, because that would be so cool, or a V6 even. So I feel like maybe we go with the not a 7-litre V8. Do we go with the 3-litre V8? Sure. There's no V6 option either, which is a bit sad. But we'll put in a V8. We won't turbocharge it. That's probably the first step, really, isn't it? Wow! That is an carbon fibre bumper, which I don't want. I mean, it's different to the normal Forza aero, I'll give it that. But we don't need aerodynamics, it's fine. It looks good, I don't want to ruin it. Do we give it slightly more grip? Sure. I essentially just want to make it a good road car, but we will give it more grip. More grip's more good. That's how it works, right? And again, we'll put... Usually the front comes out too far if you put it all the way, so we'll put it 2, and then we'll put the rear nice and wide. There we go, that looks much more aggressive. We'll leave the wheels on, because I think that's kind of part of the look, if you like. We'll fix these bits by just putting better ones in. So this is essentially, apart from it being a V8, I'd probably try and put a V6 in it. I'm essentially doing it how it probably should have been. Okay, maybe it wouldn't end up being in A class. We put some sport bits in it. We put a bigger engine in it, which probably means we need some better brakes and slightly better suspension. I'm going to put it on race just so it sits nicely. Obviously in reality that would probably make it a bit uncomfortable, but we're not in reality so it doesn't matter. And we'll leave the power, well, other than putting a new engine in, we'll leave the power alone. So it's now got 475 horsepower, which arguably is a bit too much, but hang on. I am going to check actually what happens if we put in... How much horsepower does that have? Oh, that has even more, I think. Wow, that is a lot of... Okay, nearly 500 horsepower is probably fine. I will just quickly check the paint groups, although anybody who paints it any colour other than brushed aluminium, other than gold plating it, is... Well, that's also ruining it, isn't it? But that was a factory option. I was going to say, I hope you just can't paint it, but you can. We're going to see many hideous things. Oh, I meant to go into... So, how badly do the two groups work? Is it just the front bit? And the rear bit? Oh my god, that is... Well, quite horrible, really. I feel like one thing we could do, because that grey plastic is quite dated and horrible, is if we make it sort of... Oh. Group 2. If we make that matte black, so it sort of looks more like black plastic than grey... Because grey plastic just looks like it's sort of faded, really, doesn't it? It's a... Oh, I didn't save it. It's a subtle tweak, but I feel like that is worth doing. But I don't want to get rid of the nice old... Oh, what I will do is change those calipers, because red is a bit... I don't know, boring? Can we go with a purple? Can you even see them? I feel like as you can't even really see them, we should just do them in black or something. There we go. So that is all I really wanted to do with this, was make it into more of a drivable road car, which in reality is what needs doing to it. So won't necessarily race it for anything, well, now. It's a bit like the Jag we reviewed recently, which if you haven't seen that, go and check that video out. would have gone up in the last couple of days, the XJR15. It's one of these cars that you want to tweak slightly, but you don't want to ruin it. So I don't really want to build it into anything, because I do quite like, although it's terrible, I kind of like the idea of these. I mean, that's a bit more like it. I think we need to tune the gears towards acceleration slightly. It doesn't feel perfect, but it definitely feels like it's got more like the right amount of power. I'm just going to tune that up slightly. Let's go with 4 point... I don't know why, it's just a random number really, but let's try this. It's a little bit sluggish off the line, but it's better. It's more where it should be. It probably got a bit too much power, and it sounds a little bit odd, but yeah, at least now we can easily hit 88 miles an hour, which is the important thing, really. Because apparently, in the film, they had to put a sticker over the speedometer, so it looked like they were doing 88 when they were doing about 60, because otherwise it was difficult to find enough room to get it up to that speed. But yeah, interestingly, we can now drive around at 120 without time travelling at all. Which is slightly too worrying. You're going to start accidentally time travelling if it can reach 88 too easily, aren't we? Maybe that's why it was so slow. Maybe there was a reason. Other than it was just a total shambles from start to finish. The whole project took a lot of money and a lot of time and effort and failed. Badly. Which is a shame. If it had been built well, I mean, I won't say it's a beautiful car, but it's distinctive. It's not a bad-looking car. I do quite like it, but it's just a shame it wasn't done properly. But there we go. You can fix it in Forza, because you can make it drive however you want. And I will potentially build it to A-class for online with an adventure. Although, again, like I said with the Jag, I'd kind of like a second one to do that, so we don't ruin this one. But anyway, that is going to be all for this video. So, if you have enjoyed it, and you aren't already subscribed, please consider doing so. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with the next video very soon.